Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the best start to your Bluebagger weekend right here on Blue Abroad Nation, wherever you are in the nation, from Perth to Queensland to Tasmania to Northern Territory, up in Broome. Our correspondent from Thailand and Japan will be on today, Joe Luza and Dom Pang, and we might get some popping in from the US as well. So wherever you are in the globe, Blue Abroad Nation, we're here to get you on and get you on for a chat and to keep up to speed with what's going on with the Blues. Welcome to my partner in crime, Staraj, who commentated the VFL last night. And I can tell you, the Riley is a little bit fired up this morning. How are you today, mate?
Fired up I am. It's a lot on my mind after this week, a lot on my mind with this.
Let's go straight into the rant then. Let's do it.
Oh, okay, we are firing off the bat. All righty. I was thinking something earlier this week, listening to David Teague's press conference, as we know how much we love a David Teague press conference.
Oh, that's so exciting and innovative.
Exactly. And he said, we're just waiting for the light bulb moment. For that to happen, it's improving, that sort of thing, right? And I was thinking back, I thought I heard something like that before. So I was going through my deep research, and a certain coach that used to coach Carlton, Brendan Bolton, said, round 5, 2018, we're going to explode soon.
So Teague's plagiarised Bolton's bullshit, basically.
So this leads me to the thing. And I know I said it last week. It just adds to the concerns. I mean, we're saying the same things. The same things are happening. This has the same sort of stink about it with both of them. I was thinking during the week as well, sort of looking at our list, right? And, you know, there's certain opinions on this, one side or the other. And I remember listening to Matt Rendell last year at the end of trade period. He said there's no excuses for Carl. Now, he could have said that because he's a mate of sauce, but I tend to agree with him. I think the least of our problems is our playing list. We're probably a key position defender and one or two midfielders short, really. Outside of that, we're largely set. We could use a small forward as well, obviously. But, you know, largely the list and the core is set. And I was thinking of clubs currently in the AFL that I sort of think we are comparable to list-wise. And we are, you know, in and around that mark. And I was sort of thinking, okay, talent-wise, Gold Coast is probably one where we're probably ahead of their development, but they've got a lot of talent on their list. And I sort of thought maybe Fremantle was another. And then I thought of Sydney, right?
Oh,
and everyone thought Sydney was, you know, probably not going to make the finals this year. We expected to make finals. They thought Sydney could be around the fringes of sneaky. Now, you look at those four sides and their respective records, and it really tells you a lot. It tells you, if we look at Sydney and Fremantle, because Fremantle I don't think have the talent that we do at this stage. I mean, they've got Fife and Walters and that, but outside that, it is still young and they're still, you know, there's depth issues there. But both of those sides, particularly Sydney, are really coached well. On all lines. They're hard to play against. They're hard to beat. They play a style which is conducive to winning, particularly the Swans. I mean, they accelerated their rebuild last year by playing youngsters, and then you look at them this year, they're 6-3. They could go 7-3 tonight against Fremantle. Then they play us next week, which is the perfect time to see it, the microcosm. And then there's Carlton, who promised so much, yet have not delivered. They really haven't. You look at the list expectations. The list isn't bad. The core is good. Terry was saying it the other day, and I know we've had a few injuries, and that sort of comes into this conversation as well in terms of high performance and fitness. But you know, Cripps has been a gun in the past. Whether you know whatever you think of his form now, he has been. Mackay, Wiedering, Walsh, Jack Martin hasn't been able to get out there, but you know he's been a gun. Adam Sard. Zach Williams has been a gun. So you look at the way we play football, and there is fundamental statistics which it's just not conducive to winning big games. I mean, if we want to be known as a pressure side, a contested side, yet on defensive transition, we're 18th in the competition for points conceded. We're 18th in tackle differential. We're 15th in points conceded. And that's because largely the ball's just coming in there so often. It's just not conducive to winning games. Now, David Teague earlier in the week was talking about, how he would want, he would love assistance help, right? More assistance help. I personally do think that the assistant coaches this year will get transitioned out. Whether it could be more than that, and it could be David Teague, who knows? Probably not. But he did elect to take him into the year. They had the option to rotate their assistants at the end of 2020 because of what was agreed with the AFL-CA, and they didn't. So for mine, a simple case of why I need to change assistants, that doesn't quite wash with me.
Yeah, well, look, look, I also feel, look, and I'll have to bring in our guest in a minute, but he's lining up there. But look, I personally feel we went back to our good old reserve system again. Instead of our alignment club with the Bull Ants, we've gone back to our reserves team. But there still seems to be a disconnect there as well, which I don't feel helps. So, SPS has gone back to the twos, and he's starting in the centre, right? Now, I love the VFL centre line this week. Young Jack Carroll, WA boy, of course. I'm going to love him, but no, he's going to be a jet. There's been a lot written about him, and I've seen him play, so I know what he can do. And Sam Ramsey on the other wing with SPS in the middle. Now, that's great. That's where these guys should be developing. That's what we need. However, they might play a couple of good games, get a 30-possession game, get back in the twos. Teague's going to play him on a half-back flanker in the back pocket. Well, there seems to be a disconnect in regards to where these players being developed for, what's their transition from the twos to the ones. Why wouldn't you play them in their strengths and get them to learn their craft? There's enough experience in there to help these guys through. You got Jack Nunes playing on a half-forward flank today. Tom Williamson playing on a half-back flank. So they've got a bit of experience. And even on the ball, you've got Lockie O'Brien and Matt Kennedy on the ball today. Now, they haven't set the world on fire. They haven't cemented a place in the ones, but they've been in the system and they've got the experience there. So there's enough experience across all the lines in the VFL to nurture these guys and get them to hone in on their craft if they work on their strengths and weaknesses in that position and then get that crack. Not just, it's only that we're nurturing them through, we'll put them in the back pocket. I don't believe that's the way to go. Look, we'll go into the injuries and the twos and everything else. Good start, Riley, with the Riley's rant there, mate. I reckon you've held back. I reckon we've got about halfway through your rant there. Look, great points as well. And to keep it in perspective, we did play absolutely the top two teams in the comp. We were disappointed with the Western Bulldogs loss. We should have won that game. Melbourne, we fought hard. And in both of those games, I reckon we had with ball in hand, we had the better of them for the most part of the game, especially the Bulldogs. So, we're disappointed because we're desperate for success. We're desperate for wins. We miss it. We're Carlton, and I believe it'll come. I reckon they've shown enough in those two games. So, Riley, you're only fresh out of the sack, Riley. So hang in there, mate. You'll be right. Don't you go switching to mate? Don't you dare!
I never would.
We're going to bring in our special guest today. Now he loves my build-ups. We haven't done it for a while because I've been on the radio show for a while. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about this guy. He's pretty well known at the Carlton Footy Club. He member of the 1987 Premiership side, Norm Smith medalist, most reported player in the history of the game. Unfairly so, angelic. It's just, some people just get whacked with the ugly stick and the umpires see him more than other players, and that's it. I don't know why he got reported so many times, because he stuck up for his mates, and that's what we need in our team at the moment. I'm going to bring him in, Hyphen. I'm glad I'm over here in Perth so you can't smack me with the ugly stick yourself. How you going?
Yeah, I'm not too happy about that ugly stick. But no, all good over here. A beautiful day, so it's a great day for footy, and let's Blues can get a win for us today.
Yeah, and I was really disappointed that your boy, number 26, Parksy, got dropped. I had personally noted that he sort of did seem to be dropping off a bit. He's only a young kid, thrown in there in the big time. He'd done well, and even in the last game he played, he still shown plenty of mung and good intercepting. Got outmarked a few times by some good forwards, so probably the right time to give him a rest. But I just still feel that there are others there that aren't having to go as much as him that are still being carried in that side. What are your thoughts on that, mate?
Yeah, look, I think I've said over the last few weeks, it seems to be the same blokes going in and out of the team, and I don't like that. I prefer to have a settled team in there and stick with guys. Going to promote them, give them 2 or 3, 4 weeks and just say, we're going to play you. We're going to show confidence in you. We're going to play you. And instead of, same old ones, O'Brien, Setterfield, Kennedy, they're ridden out of the team, every 2 or 3 weeks. And they don't really get a great run at it. So, look, we've got some good players coming back too. So that's also going to force our hand. Great to see DeConning back today. Like he's going to be a real bonus for us because he gives us a bit of a hard edge as well. So, yeah, great to see him back.
Yeah, return of the king. Riley, you got a question for the Hive, mate?
I guess from a holistic approach to David, where do you see Carlton at right now? Off field, on field? I'd really be interested to know on your thoughts because I feel like we're at a little bit, with a lot of fans, a bit of a fork in the road that we were, I don't know, from my perspective, probably this year was the year where we thought, okay, we're really going to start, getting up more tangibly with wins, but it just hasn't happened yet. What are you seeing from your perspective?
I think this is about the 22nd fork in the road we've had over the last. But no. Look, I'm pretty optimistic, to be honest. Off-field, you mentioned off-field's magnificent at the moment, 80,000 odd members. Yeah. Club's really ticking in the right direction that way. On field, and it was touched on before, our last 3 losses have been against Brisbane, the Bulldogs, and Melbourne, and they're the 3 sides on the ladder at the moment. They're the 3 sides that are in the best form, and with each of those games, we've shown we can compete against those top teams. So I'm a bit more optimistic. And also with with Sard and who's the other bloke we brought in this year?
Williams.
Williams, yeah. Sorry, Zach Williams. They're going to take a little bit of time to just for players to get used to each other as well, and know what they do out on the field and be able to gel that way. So that takes a little bit of time, but we're only 9 rounds in at the moment, so it's it's not do or die. And as I said, we're being competitive in all games. So I think I saw Daisy Thomas during the week. He quoted something. I saw a quote of his, and he said, "Look, the Blues are probably 2 or 3 goal pace. Charlie is a 2 or 3 goal player. Better, is going to make the team a 2 or 3 goal better team." So, it just shows that we're not that far away at the moment, and we've got to have some optimism. Man, it's easy to sit back and I think we need to start looking at the good points that are happening out there, and some of these young blokes who are coming through. I think the kid Carroll, who you mentioned before, it's a shame he broke his finger early in the season, and he's going to be a jet. He's I've seen beautiful left foot kick. He hits his target. Once we're ready and we can get him in the team, look out, we're going to have a pretty good team. And we've got a lot of depth there at the moment too. So a lot of pressure on the guys in the team, and that also helps us. But it's probably our top players really need to, I think that Bulldogs game last quarter, he was a standout player, and unfortunately Cripper was sitting on the bench for the majority of that. I don't know what was happening there, but we need our players to start doing that. And when the game needs to be won, we need our leaders to, you can't rely on a Parksy or or these sort of guys. You need your top A graders to step up and get you over the line. Chris Judd was a great example. He did it time and time. Just had that ability and will to just drag the rest of the team over. I caught up with my old mate Sticks Kernahan. He was another one who just he just do it. You just get it done, get the job done.
And they could do it on one leg, those guys too, couldn't they? Or whatever it took. And that was a good thing about Harry Mackay last week. He could have come off every 10 minutes for another injection or anything like that, but the coach needed him out there and he stayed out there clearly in more than just in discomfort and pinched nerve or whatever it is in the shoulder, and he's a marking forward. So good on him for that. And, you miss seeing that sort of stuff. A lot of the players now, it doesn't take much more than a broken fingernail to get them off for a bit of treatment.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is now the legal sense too, putting blokes back out while they're injured. If they get long-term effects, I mean, the clubs can be in a bit of trouble there. So that comes into account as well.
Yeah, different game. Now, you mentioned Daisy. He's been good in the media, hasn't he? He's seems to be giving someone a whack every week. I'm loving it.
Yeah, he says what he wants to say, and that's good. It's refreshing for people to get in there and say it as it is. I mean, too many just kowtow to AFL line and too scared to say what really needs to be said out there.
Now, mate, I want to mention this for everyone that's listening in, and we've got 20-odd comments already. Thanks, everyone who's listening in and with your comments. I'll pop a few up there soon. But for those of you that don't know, Dave's beautiful son, Cooper, lives with Prader-Willi syndrome. I won't say suffers with, because he's got a great dad looking after him, and I know that together that they sort of make the best of it and have a pretty positive life, but it's not easy. I grew up in a family. My eldest sister was born with cerebral palsy, and it's not easy on the parents and other people around you, but especially for the person going through it. David, can you just explain to all of our listeners and subscribers what it's like for you and Cooper and what you're doing? And do we count, by the way, as number 6 in the 15 for 15? Is Riley's celebrity status enough to get you over the line today?
Hey, no, I've throw you in there, actually. Too many, just slightly a bit more famous, I suppose. And then, but what I was going to say in Victoria was they've been magnificent to the families here in assistance. We've lifetime friends who are involved there, so it's a great sounding board, and we're all going through the same things. And it's doom and gloom. Yeah, we're going to have a fundraiser at the moment, so if any of the people out there want to get on to look it up and look me up, public page, and get on there. I'm getting 15 stars over 15 days, and just different players from the past so far. I've had Greg Williams, Sticks Kernahan, Jimmy Buckley, a few other young Ryan Mansell, who coached his father, current Richmond player, but I coached his father down in Tasmania, and he's a young kid too. So, 15 guys to jump on board over the 15 days and help raise some money for some much needed funds for a lot of goes to the Royal Children's Hospital and the Monash Children's Hospital. It does a lot.
Yeah, fantastic.
Families, yes. So, it's all about the families of people with Prader-Willi syndrome.
Amazing. And look, again, to all our subscribers out there, I've known Dave for about 10 years now through my involvement with the supporter group and different functions in Victoria, and he's always been absolutely selfless in giving his time and helping out, and just to give some joy to the supporters, and got involved with him a few years ago, starting the radio show. And big shout out to our good friends over at the WA Blues and Breakfast with the Blues Radio, who you'll be transitioning to after our chat, as you do every Saturday, for giving up your time again. And guys, Dave, for those of you younger members, he was a guy that did always stick up for his mates, and he bleeds blue like you wouldn't believe. So if you can get on the website for his challenge, 15 for 15 challenge, just Google search it. It's easy to find. David Rhys-Jones, 15 for 15, Prader-Willi syndrome. You'll find it, and donate generously. And please support my good friend, because he's an absolute ripper and his son's a beauty. And I only wish the best for him. And mate, thanks for everything you always do for us, and you give up your time. I mean that. I mean wholeheartedly everything I say about you. You're a ripper.
No, thanks, mate. And look, we all love the Blues, and I think that's the one thing we have in common. And I think we'll be a little bit more patient than we probably thought we were going to be at the start of the year. But starts with Hawthorn. This win game, and we must win it well too. I think that's the other side. We need to. Yeah.
That's the goal today. That's definitely the goal today, to win and win well, and give us some hope that we can do that 4-quarter effort. Now, I've got it's 8:22. I said I'd have you till 8:25, so I'm going to milk that right through for the next 3 minutes, because I want to talk about that, and of course, one of my favourite games. And you'll be pleased to know you got a shout out and a hello yesterday from John Dorotich and Richard Dennis. I saw them yesterday getting a jumper signed by the WA players that were in the 87 grand final for a special WA presentation thing. So I went and seen them yesterday. They said to say g'day. And so let's talk about that game, 1987. Robert Walls, it wasn't the most popular players coach, but on that day he made a couple of moves. One was, you trotted over to poor old Dermy, who's probably wondering what he did wrong in life, to have you rocking up there running around him instead of on the wing with your pace. And then Doro as well, switching him forward like he did in the semi. He wasn't a bad coach, Walsey, and Hawthorn were red-hot favourites, and you guys came out and really gave them a good little touch up there. So tell us a little bit about that day and those moves and what it all meant to you.
It was bloody hot, I know that. It was...
it was a stinker.
Breeze was stinking hot, but look, I found out on the Thursday night that it was on turn. And, Halsey to go forward and just... every now and then coaches do these sort of things and they work, and that was one of the occasions where it sort of ticked along nicely. I was a bit worried when he came out with the yellow boots at half time. I thought it might be on here, and I don't really want to be wrestling and fighting someone in this sort of heat. So rather get a football game out of the way, and fortunately, it all went the way we wanted it to.
Yep. Now, before I let you go, a couple of mentions here. Vince Jason, who's a regular. Love Rhys. You're a true legend. Heaps of comments here for you, and it's just going forever. What a bloody legend Rhys-Jones is, from Matthew Marsden. Mate, I'm not going to rattle off. There's stacks of them here, and I'm running out of space. But, mate, you are well remembered and well loved, that's for sure, and I think you always will be. So thanks for your time today. I know you got to go over to Chris and the guys. Tell them I said big g'day, and mate, have a great day and enjoy watching us smash them Hawks.
That's it. Yeah, let's. Yeah. And as always, go the Mighty Blues.
Go the Mighty Blues. Thanks, mate.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, mate.
Well, what an absolute champion, legend. Just one of the nicest people I've ever met as well. And you wouldn't want to say a wrong word about him. Next time I go to Melbourne, I might cop one to chop across the chops for talking about the ugly stick. I don't know what I was thinking there, but look, he's genuinely, for a guy with the reputation he had as a player, who he is as a person and what he does for other people and how he supports his son and everything. Just it's been a pleasure in my life to have been acquainted with someone like that from a Carlton circle perspective. And it'll be a friendship that I'll go to the grave with and treasure. I'm very fortunate to have had that. And I'll tell you what, if there's anyone that does personify from the old days, before the 70s even, what it meant to be Carlton, what it meant to stick up for you back in the days where, everyone would thump everyone walking off with blood. He was one of the last of the guys who stood up for his mates. All of his reports and all of his suspensions, he always got done for clipping someone that he'd seen clip 5 minutes before in the background. He was always standing up for his mates, and it's a rare thing in the world. And we need a little bit of that in our team. We need to solidify. We got to be disciplined. We know how the game is today, but good sides are still hard because guess what? It's still footy. Now, Riley, I'm going to let you take over a little bit here because I've been talking way too much, but I'm going to bring in our Thailand correspondent, the one and only Bangkok Joe. How you going, Joe?
G'day, boys. How you going?
Very, very well.
Sorry, just trying to make myself a coffee here. Just woken up.
That's all right, mate. No,
I'm sorry. I didn't realise this was the Blue Abroad Nation excuse show, buddy.
No excuses. No, beautiful sunny day here today. It's 7 o'clock in the morning and it's 38 degrees.
Oh.
just a cold one today, I think.
Bit chilly.
Over here in Perth, we've got rain all day. My poor son's about to go soon and play his game of footy to a bunch of 10-year-olds, and it's pouring down all day, miserable and cold. It's the first cold day we've had for the year in Perth. I've got my scarf on. I'm feeling a bit precious, what's it like over there, Riley? What's the weather like in sunny bloody Bris Vegas?
You pretty much summed it up. It's sunny. It's not quite at 38 degrees. It's a little cooler than that. But no, there's in terms of climate in Australia year round, Brisbane's a pretty good place to live.
Yeah, it's not a bad place, is it? There's worse places that you could live. Bloody Melbourne, I remember waking up in winter at 0 degrees and I'd be going out for a run thinking, what the hell am I doing this crap?
Yeah.
Anyway. No, it's all right. I saw you had the hyphen on. What a great player. Couldn't we use him now?
Oh, he had it all. He had it all. We just talked about his demeanour on the field, how he stood up for his mates and all of the bad reputation and stuff like that. He wasn't doing much different than most other hard players back then were doing, but he got caught more because he couldn't help himself when it came to sticking up for a mate. Now,
but he had the skill to back it up. I was just going to
say, he had everything.
Yeah.
Incredible wingman, pace, great mark. He was a good aerialist. Great reader of the game.
Wasn't a big boy either, was he? Like, he wasn't well built like Cooter or some of the other players, but gee, he was hard.
Yeah,
he was.
He was.
Sorry, I'm going to zone out a little bit. I'm trying to get in contact with someone else. I'll let you and Riley have a chat.
So Riley, what happened last week? What happened last week?
Mate, it was literally you just put in the old VCR of basically what happened when we have been played under David Teague, and you just repeat. I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. Our defensive structure and defensive transition will not allow us to win games. It really won't.
Do you know, I was listening to you guys before you had Rhys on. I had you on the headphones, and you were talking about the coaches and, like I was Googling something the other day and I came across this quote. It said, when you get what you want, you don't want what you get. All right. And I thought of it and I thought, that sounds like Carlton supporters with David Teague. They all wanted him. Oh, we got to get this David Teague bloke. At the time, living over here, I thought, well, he's an assistant coach. I don't really know enough about him, but I would have thought we would have needed an experienced coach, not a Mick Malthouse or something like that. But they brought him on. They haven't changed the assistants. We've got one game plan, which is attack, and if that doesn't work, we just sit there and scratch our heads going, well, what do we do now? Yeah. So, I love reading the posts on your the site, on Blue Abroad. Oh, we've got to get rid of David Teague. Oh, get rid of David Teague. These people 18 months ago were going, oh, we need David Teague. We need David Teague. I'm like,
that's true.
It is. Give me a break.
It's interesting. I think we're at a juncture. One thing I'm really excited though about, Joe, and I'd love your opinion on this, is is the fact, although they've been dropped today, we are starting to see a few of the kids. We're starting to see what Matt Owies is made of. We've seen exposure of Luke Parks, who I'm disappointed got dropped today, but that's
that was a bit disappointing.
I was disappointed in that. I'm looking forward to the VFL tomorrow and seeing the likes again of Carroll and Ramsey and Brody Kemp. So that's one thing I think I'm holding my hat on. I actually think, and I wouldn't mind your opinion on this, I actually think the playing list by and large is in a pretty good spot. Outside of a couple of things, like maybe another key defender and one or two midfielders, but outside of that, we're in a pretty good spot.
See, I disagree about the midfields. I think we've got enough midfielders. I just don't think we play them. And Rhys got onto it really good. There's no consistency. We're really quick to pull the trigger if someone gets dropped on certain players, right? Like I read on a lot of other websites about that Plowman, he's bloody hopeless. Get rid of Plowman, he's hopeless. But to Plowman's defence, he doesn't really get a lot of support from his midfielders and the forwards. So the poor bloke, I mean, okay, he's not the best footballer running around. Let's not kid ourselves here, right?
Yeah.
He's not the best backman. But, we just constantly don't put pressure on in the centre.
No,
if you bring Setterfield over as a midfielder, play him as a midfielder. If SPS is a midfielder, don't give him experience on the half-back flank. Put him in the resis. Right? Put him in the seconds and give him some expense. Oh, he's back.
Bloody oath. I just got my rotten melon off there for a bit. Now I'm gonna jump off again though, and I'm gonna bring in our Japanese correspondent now. The Osaka kid is going to be jumping in there, and you guys can continue the conversation because it's a really good conversation at the moment, and I want you guys to just continue to objectively go through the pros and cons of what's going on at the moment in the seniors and in the VFL.
Cool.
So I'll bring in Osaka Dom. How you going, Dom? Good morning.
Fellas, good morning. How are we?
Tom.
I better change the banner. There we go. Bangkok Joe and Osaka Dom.
Oh.
There we go.
How is the weather in Osaka?
It's rainy season now. So
yeah, same here, but we got the heat.
Yeah, it's not too bad, not too hot. We only have rainy season for about a month, and it's on a month. And it just steams down with rain.
We get it for 4 months. It's real. I don't know if your rainy season's the same as ours. Here it buckets for about an hour, and then it's stifling hot. So you get wet, and there's no worries about getting wet because about 10 minutes later you're dry.
Yeah, basically here the rainy season is the curtain raiser for summer, and you're just looking at a world of humid pain. It's incredibly humid. During summertime.
Yeah.
I never thought it would be before I moved to Japan, but no, it's the seasons are really extreme in Japan.
Beautiful.
By the way, thank you for calling me a kid. It's been a long time since I've heard that word ascribed to me.
So the weather sucks over there at the moment. Now, sorry, bad dad joke. Look, Dom.
Yep.
What's going on? I want to ask you this question. I just want to jump in and ask you this question. Paddy Dow is not on the injury list. He's not on the emergencies, and he's not named in the VFL. Has someone shot Paddy Dow? Where is Paddy Dow?
Is he injured?
We don't know.
Actually,
I reckon Riley would know. I reckon Riley's a commentator for the VFL, and he's generally, he's on the money. He's got his contacts. He's got his reliable sources, tomato and barbecue. Riley, have you heard anything about Dowie, mate?
Absolutely nothing. Anything to do with Queensland, I'll hear about and can understand, but nothing about Dow. Although, maybe I don't know. Maybe they're just giving him, for lack of a better term, some personal time. And that's a really weird way of putting it. But I mean, managed. Yeah. Well, yes, managed. That's the word. That's the word.
That's the word. Let's get into that then. Casbolt managed. What do you
strange.
reckon, Dom? Have you been following that one this week, mate? The whole Casbolt thing. It's a bit of a joke, isn't it?
They were saying that he was carrying an injury for some time, so maybe technically it's true, giving him a little bit of healing time. But, the bleeding obvious is that he's been terribly out of form and everyone knows it. And it's really quite disappointing that the club can't just actually admit and make a statement that that's the case, which reflects one of our problems as a club, I think.
Yeah.
Call a spade, and he needed to be dropped. In fact, he needed to be dropped 4 or 5 games ago.
I don't think they had anyone to replace him with. That's the problem, because Mitch McGovern he was injured, and he's not exactly setting the world on fire. So, Riley put it before. I think we've been recruiting all these mids, but we've never recruited a decent defender. I mean, I don't even think Jacob Wiedering came to us as a defender, did he?
No, he did. He came to us as a key defender. We briefly, under the sage wisdom of Brendan Bolton, tried to ruin his career by making him a full forward, but he was recruited as a defender. But it's an interesting, because you go back to the Casbolt thing. It's like, who do we have to cover? This comes back to teams. You train structure in the preseason, but there's a lot of adjustability about the best football clubs out there. You can experiment with things. You can go to a primarily small team. We know that our smalls have got pace, and one thing we're lacking is pressure. Pitnet, has by and large been rucking out the games as is anyway this year, outside of brief spurts from Casbolt. So it could be, this is a very simplistic view, but, Pitnet goes around the grounds and he's in the middle. And then if you have to use someone forward, I mean, they experimented with Cripps in the preseason as a stoppage ruckman around the ground. So there's options around it. We're in a very interesting juncture, I think.
You really don't want there to be injuries to either Wiedering or Jones. If either of them go down, we're in quite a bit of trouble. I'd say the only thing about that is that I reckon Levi Casbolt played his best football ever in the back line as a key backman. There was a series of 10 games that he played a couple of seasons ago, and he dominated there. And he was great. He was intercept marking. His field kicking was excellent. Who would have thought you could say that? But it was the best form of his career as far as I'm concerned. And, I hope that they think about that as an option if one of those, if either Wiedering or Jones goes down.
Yeah, I agree. I thought he played quite well at centre-half back. Because he's a big lad. I mean, he can take a big forward. He knows how to punch. He can kick. He can kick the ball long. So it's not a stupid thing. What's happened to Marchbank? I mean, what's his injury update? We don't get it.
I'll jump in there. So Marchbank's out for the season. Okay. Yeah. And look, I just wanted to quickly jump in regarding the Casbolt. I mean, talking about the knee having to be drained regularly, weekly. And, he clearly hasn't been jumping into those packs. Remember when he was playing his best footy and he was really launching into those packs, like true spectacular contested marks, and he's not doing that. So there is something wrong with him. And I've been doing it as well. I suppose I've been sucked into the Casbolt vortex a little bit lately. And, fair enough because he's not himself. So, if they can manage him and get that right, and he might need to take an extended period away from playing to really get his body right, because him and Pitnet have been carrying that load. All off to Pitto, who's obviously a bit younger and fit, and he's carrying it well. It's kept us going. Now, and that's a perfect segue into what I wanted to do, which was the injury list. Now, obviously, I'll go through the long-term ones. So Cunningham, devastatingly devastating. I love this kid, and he was really just showing what he can do for us. And to be that cream when we got a full team, he would be that little bit of cream. But anyway, gone for the season.
Wasn't that? I mean, I have to chime in there. Wasn't that just shit. The first minute of the game.
It was
It put me in a bad mood for the rest of the game, seeing him go down and it's like, Carlton injury luck again. I mean, of course we're biased and so on, but freaking hell, we've been hit
3 minutes in.
Really bad injuries.
3 minutes in, and you have to substitute a player like David Cunningham for a player who shouldn't even be a medical sub. And no disrespect for everything he's done and how he's fought his way, Gibbo, but why wouldn't you have had a Josh Honey or someone like that in that position? And anyway, it was what it was, and that was not a good start to the game. We went down by 26 points. So Cunners and Marchbank out for the season, both with knees. The next longest term injury, Oscar McDonald, still another 7 to 9 weeks with his back. Mitch McGovern, another 6 to 8 weeks with his hamstring. So I'm pretty much writing them off for the year as well at this stage. Because they're not going to make an impact as far as netting to win games at the back end of the season. Now, in the yellow category, I've got Charlie Curnow with his knee, indefinite. So we're looking, I reckon, by the way it's looking, 4 to 5 weeks. So let's just cross our fingers on that. Zach Fisher with his ankle, 3 to 4 weeks. Geez, I love that kid too, and we miss that little. We miss that spark, that class, that pace, that elusiveness that he brings. He's a unique player in our team that no one can do what he does. And then in the positives, Jack Martin, another week away, and Sam Philp, another week away. Obviously, Jack Silvani passed his test and he's back in the side. So our injury list has shrunk a little bit. It's just a little bit sad. Cunningham got put on the season-ending list there with his knee. That segues us into the ins and outs. So Jack Silvani and Tom DeConning in, with Cunningham, Casbolt managed, Luke Parks omitted, which I'm not. I understand the Luke's Park one. I know a lot of people will be upset, but yeah, no, I reckon that was the right time to give him a break. He had 4 or 5 odd games there, and he's done well, but he was trailing off the kid. So, no, that's fine with me. Apparently, Michael Gibbons has been elevated to the 22 off the medical sub. I don't get it.
Me either.
No, me either. So does that mean that we can pick up someone in a mid-season draft?
We got 2 picks available.
So sorry about that, John. We got 2 picks available in the mid-season draft. Is there anyone worth picking up? There's that that guy Nathan Freeman that everyone talks about. He's played at about three other clubs, hasn't he?
He's played at St Kilda. He played at Collingwood. He had a lot of hamstring injuries, which he struggled with, but he's been able to get his body right. I don't know if he fits the mould, because we were talking, just to jump in quickly, we were talking about midfielders before. I should have prefaced that. We need 2 outside mids. We've got a shitload of inside mids.
Yeah.
And he's another inside mid. So he knows how to find the footy, but I mean, we've got enough inside mids on the list at the moment. That,
we don't need them.
We also need
we need outside mids. We need.
Well, we got outside mids, but they're not developed yet. We got Sam. What's I saying? It's Sam Ramsey and Jack Carroll on the wings.
They're ones that are going to develop.
Jack Carroll
later in the year, but we need blokes that I think we need blokes that we need to slot in. I think that was the hope
now.
Yeah, we need like a Marlon Pickett.
Yeah.
So, and that's next week, isn't it? Isn't it on the June the 2nd, the mid-season draft?
It is.
Yeah.
Is that crept up?
Yeah.
That did creep up. So let's go through the VFL side. In the back pocket. Cross halfback flank, Tom Williamson, Luke Parks, centre halfback. And then the centre line is all the AFL listed players: Jack Carroll, Sam Petreski-Seaton, Sam Ramsey. We touched on that a little bit earlier in the show with SPS. He's been named in the guts. He's a centreman. And
funny about it.
After a couple of games, he might dominate, get back in the AFL and get a gig in the back line again. I hope that does not happen. Okay, half forward. Josh Honey and Jack Nunes, both on half-forward flanks. I hope Josh Honey has an absolute ball terror, another 8 tackles, 20 posies, a goal, maybe something to keep at least putting pressure on our AFL guys. Put pressure on them. But I want to see him getting a gig and want him to earn it. So good luck to both those guys, Jack Nance as well. In the forward pocket again, Corey Durden, certainly garnering a big reputation, Corey Durden, with his pressure acts in the forward line there in the VFL. And then on the ball, Lockie O'Brien, who's been leading the on-ball brigade quite well, and Matt Kennedy, who's a very, very good VFL player. Look, there's opportunities across the lines, across all the lines. You know what we don't have?
Nice to see Brody Kemp, our next big inside midfielder / forward lining up in the back pocket.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
You know what we don't have, guys? You know what we don't have? We don't have another ruckman. And we don't have another key position defender. We put a lot of eggs in the Marchbank basket, I reckon. Too much. And we know what a prodigious talent he was, but we didn't develop another one. He's been there for a while now. We put too much eggs, I think, sometimes in our key position players on our list, and it's worrying. We've got a lot of midfielders there. None of them have developed.
Let's not forget that we also delisted Ben Silvani and what was his name? The other key defender who used to play for St Kilda.
Goddard.
Yeah, we delisted both of them.
Be handy now.
Last year, and we didn't replace them with a key position player.
It's just stunning. And you don't know what goes through. They obviously know what they're doing. They think they know what they're doing. But, your point's right. We don't have any distributors on the wing. We get the ball, and then, I don't know, maybe it might be worth playing a Sam Doherty there. I don't know, because...
Well, that was one thing that was very good last week, was when Doc moved up the ground. That was a positive. That was a positive. And that's what happens when Nick Newman comes back into the side. We can start to play around with that a bit.
Yeah, because you got Sard on one flank, Newman probably on the other. Who have you got down back? You got Wiedering, Jones, Plowman. Who normally plays in a pocket?
Well, there's a lot of thoughts there.
Oh, Sam Petreski-Seaton. Yeah. Sorry, well, let's put a midfielder down there. Yeah, sorry, I forgot about that. Yeah. But really, Setterfield should be able to play on a wing. I don't see him as an inside mid. I've never seen him going in hard. I mean, he's a great user of the football. He's got some skill. He's tall. He looks tall enough. Maybe they might try him on one wing and Doherty on another. I don't know. I mean, the trouble I seem to find with our club is that we don't experiment. And then when we do experiment, it's really stupid. Like I just said, let's go and get a midfielder, recruit a midfielder. Hey, let's put him in the back pocket to develop him. I mean, how's that developing him?
Well, the more you experiment, the better you get in all positions. And that's what happened in my early years in high school, Joe. So I fully concur. Now, what we will do is we'll just that's a perfect segue, what we're talking about there, into going across the lines in our seniors team. So I'll start with the back line. Okay, so we're talking now Carlton versus Hawthorn in a few hours. Okay, so back line, Sard, Jones, and Plowman, they'll be playing on Moore, Lewis, and Kazitsky. I'll throw that first to Riley. Let's go through that back line and those matchups. We got Sard on Moore, and we know how the game's played now, and it gets it's zoned and it gets mixed up. But Sard on Moore looks like a pretty good battle. Moore's in good form. Jones on Lewis, Plowman on Kazitsky. How do you see that back line battle?
I personally think Lewis will get Wiedering personally, and I think Kazitsky might get Jones. It's an interesting one. I think the one thing that really surprised me from Hawthorn this week, before we go into Carl, I'm actually really surprised they dropped Tim O'Brien, because that was the one area they could have really stretched us, was in tall stock. So that sort of helps us a little bit. In terms of defensive matchups today on that line, there's nothing to be concerned about there. What I'm interested in is who do we think will get the matchup on Bruce? That's always going to be the interesting one. It's probably going to be Plowman.
He kills
we saw
us.
Doherty last year get it, but Doherty got belted. So
He kills us,
what about
Bruce,
you, John?
every time.
What about you, John? Who do you think gets Bruce?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, traditionally, you'd probably say Plowman, small to mid. Plowman's just scares me at the moment. It's like, hi, good luck, have a good game, and I'll give you 3 goals, and then we'll go from there. He's scaring me, Plowman. He's scaring me. He's, for a guy who's got that pigeonhole reputation, whatever you want to call it, as taking that mid-dangerous to small dangerous forward, not doing it for me. Just scares me. But yeah, I know Plowman's an enigma.
He is.
He usually gets like the toughest small forward. I mean, he tends to play better on those who are more agile and not as strong in the air. But when it comes to like a marking small forward, he just gets out positions.
He's hopeless. Yeah.
What
doesn't
they
read the
do
ball
have,
well.
when you go across the and I'll go through the half back line now. Zach Williams, Jacob Wiedering, Sam Doherty are playing on Warple, Bruce, and Wingard. So Williams are lining up on Warple, Wiedering on Bruce, Doherty on Wingard. So Doherty might be a matchup for Bruce. And actually, I don't mind the idea of Wiedering as a matchup on Bruce because just when you look at that Hawthorn forward line, they're obviously a developing side. And you look at that forward line, it's not like when they had Roughhead there and stuff. It's a very, very different Hawthorn side. And you look at our back line and all of those matchups against that forward line, and it's an area that we should be able to get organised, be able to intercept, rebound, stop. Wingard always plays well against us. Oh, no, hang on. Let me just rephrase that. We always play shit against Wingard and let him kick a lot of goals on us. So will Plowman go to Wingard? He's just not the greatest form player going around Wingard, but he does it against us. So I don't have the answer for Bruce or Wingard at the moment because I find our backlines is so unpredictable, and Wiedering's the only one
Solid.
I trust. I'm going to use a Riley term. And Wiedering is the only one there. Maybe Doherty but Doherty I don't trust for 2 weeks in a row. Wiedering I trust every week.
Yeah.
So it's.
I think we have to leave Doherty on the wing.
They can be dangerous.
We have to leave Doherty on the wing. It worked last week, and I think we need to persist with it to see if it's really going to be a long-term move.
I agree with Dom. I agree.
Yeah. Okay. So then Newman, who's starting on the interchange, has to take that spot, doesn't he? And be that general across half back with Weeders.
Well, he has the experience. He's got the experience. He played well there when he was at the Swans, and he's played some good games on the back line for us. So, again, let's play someone out of position. Why not?
We do it everyone else. I like it. I like it a lot. Okay, let's go across the centre line. So we've covered the back half there with the back line, half back line, centre line. Cottrell, who's been a little bit under fire lately, and I don't know why, but anyway, Cottrell, Cripps and Setterfield matching up against Liam Shields, Cousins and Phillips. Now, in all fairness, last week Cottrell only got 9 touches. It wasn't his greatest game, but I think he has been improving each week. But as far as the matchup goes, guys, I'll throw it out to you. And again, Cottrell, Shields, Cripps, Cousins, Setterfield, Phillips. On paper, it's another area we should be on top. What do you say?
Phillips is the concern for me. He's a very good left foot, and he's the one that's got a speed on the outside. So that's the one I don't. That's the one that could really hurt us from the wings. He's been pretty good for Hawthorn this year, I think. So outside of that, Cripps and Cousins is regulation, and Cottrell and Shield, Cottrell and Shields is probably expected, but Phillips is the one that could really hurt us going the other way.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Is the concern for me. I just don't see his right position as playing on the wing. He doesn't have that speed and ability to cover the ground both ways in that position. And I think that they've got to really persist with him, staying in the centre. He is like a pure midfielder. He had a great season last year, and it just doesn't make sense to keep trying to play him on a wing.
And there's no one in that named side else that can play on the wing. No one.
Zach Williams.
Yeah, maybe Murphy.
Yeah. Oh, no. He hasn't got the pace.
There's just no one. And this is where selection just freaks me out. I agree. When I saw Setterfield named on a wing, I hope that's just the usual bullshit, and they play him who should be playing. But the problem is, that's all good to say, but you look at the interchange: Jack Silvani, Eddie Betts, Liam Stocker, Nick Newman. Obviously, clearly none of them wing. The only other person you could play on a wing at the moment is Sam Walsh. And is T going to play Sam Walsh on the wing? No. We need his volume in that engine room at the moment. He's our leader. He is our leader in that engine room, no doubt. Miles ahead of Cripps, and I would say Ed Curnow is even ahead on Cripps. I'm loving Ed Curnow at the moment. But there's
what you get with Ed.
No wingman.
Sorry,
Lockie O'Brien might have been a better option, Lockie O'Brien hasn't been setting the world on fire in the twos, but pace, left foot, might have been a nice little, so he'll know how to play on that type of, it might have been a nice like for like to bring Lockie O'Brien in just to play on Phillips. Who knows? Look, I'll move on. You've, again, awesome points, guys. Good objectivity, scary stuff. And I still think so far, across all of those three lines, Phillips and Bruce as danger players that worrying, but we should be winning all those lines. So let's go across half forward. Murphy, the king, centre half forward. I'm loving that. Murphy, DeConning, and Foggers, who's just, again, good game last week. Loving Foggers. Against Greaves, the young fella, I never get the pronunciation right, Jayat.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Jared Impey. Jared Impey on Fogarty, DeConning on Jayat. That'll be interesting because Jayat, he's been going well. He's been improving. He's been a bit of a shining light as a young player, but DeConning, it's his first game back, so I think that could be a very even matchup. But you would think with the height, and he'll be rotating through the ruck, Jayat would be playing on two players over the course of the game, so that might wear him down and work in our favour. Murphy on Greaves, well, Murphy, who knows? Bag of lollies. What will it be this week? He'll probably get 20 possessions and kick a goal and continue on. What do you think about that half-forward line and matchups, guys? I'll throw it out to you.
I'm a bit worried about, is DeConning a natural forward, or is he a natural ruckman, or is he a natural forward?
He is people forget.
I know he's got incredible skill.
I watched a lot of games of his in his first couple of years in the VFL, and he's a natural athletic, loves leaping into packs, over the top of packs, great mark in the forward lines, kicking's improved. He is a natural forward, but he's probably at the moment a forward ruck who will become a ruck forward. That's my personal opinion. Riley, I'll throw that to you. What do you think about the King? His development and where his future lies.
I think his first few years he was like a giraffe going through. When he started as a forward, initially as a forward, there was always plans for him to be a ruck, which is where I think he'll go. I think you were talking about matchups before holistically. I've got a feeling that Frost will go to DeConning. Giaff they'll just let get off the leash and run, which means you might have Hardigan on Mackay, and that's something we can really exploit, which we'll go through that line shortly. But one thing about Hawthorn is there's some real good rebounders defensively for them, which we just need to be careful of, because as I've said it once, said it a million times, our transition defense is shithouse.
No, it's not that good.
Spot on, mate. Spot on.
I wouldn't be surprised if they play Silvani on Giaff. Silvani is probably our best defensive forward, best pressure forward overall, and he's got the body size as well.
And the smarts on a kid who's coming through in his first year. Jack Silvani, if he lines up on him, could teach him a bit of a lesson, I think. So, yeah, spot on there, Don. Spot on. All right, let's go through the forward line because I'm running out of time. I've got stuff to do, would you believe? I've just got stuff to do. All right. Forward line. My favourite player of all time for Carlton, Michael Gibbons, Harry Mackay, and Matt Owies. And I do love Gibbo. I love his story. And I loved what he did when he came in and the consistency he provided. But he's trailed off, let's face it. He's very lucky to be coming off the medical sub and into this side after last week and after every other week for about the last 4 weeks. But he's there. He's there. This is his last chance against that Hawthorn backline. So Gibbons, Mackay, Owies against B. Hardwick. I don't know anything about him.
Hardwick's a ripper. He's one that can really hurt us. He's for a little bit of background, he sort of turned into their real interceptor defensively from a chop-off perspective. So Hawthorn, I think, as a whole, I'm sorry to jump in there, their defensive structures aren't too bad. It's something we're going to be wary of.
No, because they're well coached. That's why their defensive structures are good. They're well coached. And they're drilled. And they're disciplined. Could you imagine Clarkson putting up with the shit that some of our players do? They lose the ball and they just put their hands on their hips and just walk back to their position. There'd be no way that someone like John Longmire, Paul Roos would put up with that shit. But we do.
Look, despite the starting lineup and how it's named, I would actually be surprised if Gibbons didn't start on the bench. For me, you'd want Jack Silvani in that back pocket to really help direct guys around as well, to make sure that Conning and Mackay don't injure each other and getting each other's way, and that they support them with the defenders as well. Matt Owies has been doing a really good job of that. So proud of how he's come into the side and the role he's played off the ball as well. He must be probably one of the most coachable players in our team, I reckon, at the moment, Matt Owies, and I'm loving his work. But I think we do need to start. We need to get off to a good start, and to do that, Gibbons must start on the bench. Silvani must start in that forward pocket to make sure everything's going the way it should. And you see when he does play, he does love doing that. He's very vocal. He brings the players in after a goal. He's usually the one leading the chats. So, and Murphy's there as well. So that experience would be invaluable. All right. And Harry Mackay, just a lazy 9 goals today. Can I get a quick Harry Mackay prediction off everyone? Just quickly. How many goals?
4.
4 for Joe. Bangkok Joe's shot a bit low.
I'll go with
how bad's his shoulder? I mean, I didn't hear enough. I mean,
shoulder's fine, mate. Nothing wrong with his shoulder. What are you talking about? What shoulder?
Okay. He's got another arm. What's wrong with him?
Osaka Dom.
I'll go with 6 based on a better performance from our midfield. That doggies game in the last quarter, we just couldn't get the ball to him. He would have kicked more goals. Our midfield just completely went to sleep. So, it's all about our midfield transition and delivery into the forward 50. So, it just depends on the number of chances he gets. So I'm going to say 6 today for Big H.
How many goals, Riley, for the Big H?
Look, considering the fact that some might consider the two key backs for Hawthorn in Frost and Hardigan to be the wish versions of key defenders, I'm going to say 7.
Okay, cool. I'm going to stick with 9. We'll
9.
talk about it next week. Huh? We'll see who the genius is. Now, a lot of what we just spoke about then, how many goals Harry's going to kick, is going to come down to this next line, the followers. Mark Pitnet, Sam Walsh, Ed Curnow up against big boy Ben McAvoy, Tom Mitchell, and Jagabom O'Meara. So it's actually still not a bad followers group that Hawthorn have there. They haven't been in great form, but if McAvoy has a good game, he's going to be too good for Pitto. So Pitto and TDK are going to have to really work in tandem to get on top there. Sam Walsh, Tom Mitchell's out of form. Sam Walsh will towel him up. Don't worry about that, fellas. Ed Curnow on Yago O'Meara. I don't know. Ed Curnow, he's playing good roles on good midfielders and still getting 20-odd touches himself. So I'll throw it out to you guys. How do you, Riley, think those matchups are going to go? And then we'll go to Dom and Joe as well.
For mine, Ed has to sit on O'Meara. I don't know if you remember 2 years ago when we played him in Tasmania, but we were up by 6 goals at halftime, and then the infinite wisdom of our coaching staff forgot that Jaeger O'Meara existed, and he got 42 possessions. So
doesn't sound familiar.
So essentially, Ed's got to go the hard tag on O'Meara. He's the one that can really damage us. Mitchell will always get a lot of the footy, but the damage with the football's minimal. He's an extractor outside. He's not a meters game player, so you're almost happy to see how that one goes. What I think will happen is you'll have some sort of rotation between O'Meara and Walker forward. That'll sort of be the rotation they go through. So that's how I see it. And I think Pitnet, he hasn't been great this year. But what I will say is that. And there's a comment there from Zachary who's spot on. He's coming up against his old side who thought he was shit. Just give it something today. You're playing if you want. I think for mine, if he wants any real, for lack of a better term, hope to consistently stay in the side long term and try a 2-ruck system with DeCone, he needs to start really performing. Because so far this year, by and large, he's been pretty disappointing.
Master and apprentice, McAvoy and Pitto. Okay, the Osaka kid, Dom, how do you see that followers group? Again, Pitnet, Walsh and Curnow against McAvoy, Mitchell, O'Meara.
I agree with Riley. I think that Ed has to go to O'Meara. He's Hawthorn's best player, and we have to shut him down. Also, again, as Riley said, Mitchell doesn't damage as much. So if we can get a good return from Sam Walsh, I think that it will go in our favour. Overall, I think that, it's really a matter of the team winning this game on talent and doing the basics right, because I think where we lose 100% is in the coaching panel. Clarkson is going to have a very good game plan for this match. And, this is a danger game, as you know, and I'm really quite worried about it. I mean, imagine if we lose. It's going to be meltdown time. So we've got to do the simple things right. We've got to have a good performance in the midfield. So if we lose in the midfield, you can think that the game might be over for us.
Yep. Now, I'm going to throw the interchange just to save a bit of time here because I've got to. So I'm going to throw the interchange to Bangkok Joe. Now, Bangkok Joe, my good friend, we have on the interchange Betts, Stocker, Newman, Silvani. The Hawks interchange, Scrimshaw, Morrison, Hanrahan, Reeves. Look, it's a good balance, I think, we have on the interchange. Obviously, Betts, small forward, Stocker, hopefully inside mid, but he'll be used as a utility. Newman in the back line, Silvani in the forward line, pressure forward. How do you see that interchange looking? Bit better, isn't it, this week?
Yeah, it's a bit better. I can't see JSOS starting on the bench, though. I think we really need to start him in the forward. Just his pressure acts really help our defensive structure, which Riley keeps mentioning, a shithouse. But I mean, we're relying on a 34-year-old. He's 34, I think. Year-old to give us defence. It's quite sad. Stocker, I like Stocker. He seems to have a bit of mongrel in him. He seems to have a bit of go. Maybe they can use him as a pinch hitter. When Sam Walsh is coming off for a rest, or Cripper. They could rotate the three of those guys. I tend to like him more as our inside mid as opposed to Setterfield. I don't know. The jury's out with Setterfield. I don't know. Some days you look at him and you think he's a superstar, and then other days you look at him and think, what the hell did people see in him? I don't know. He must have done something. Who else was on there? Was it Nunes?
It was no. It was Betts. Betts, Stocker, Newman, and Silvano.
Newman. Okay.
Newman.
What? Yeah, I don't know. No,
he did all right. First game back last week. He did all right.
Oh yeah, Newman's a good player. I would tend to put him. I actually think he might be a good matchup for Bruce, to be honest, because he can run, and he's got strength. I mean, Bruce always seems to get these lucky goals against Carlton. You always see Bruce 4 goals, 5 goals, but he gets a lot of these Joe the Gooses, over the tops, or the ball spills loose. But he does, and that's what kills us.
And that's what we're bad at, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's what we're bad at.
We just never learn. I think I read a statistic the other day that we've won 1 out of our last 16 games against Hawthorn. Does that sound right?
It's 1 out of 18, I think.
Is it 1 out of 18? Jeez. I just want to pick you up on something. When you were talking about our defenders, and I think it was a Zachary or someone put up a thing about Pitnet has to step up. Do you think he can step up? I think we're getting the best out of him that we're going to see. I think that's it.
Yeah.
I don't think he's, an A grade ruckman. I think what you got there is C grade at best, and if you get anything better, I think it's a bonus. So
I'll definitely go along with that. I'll definitely go. I think Riley made a really, really good point, though. We might get a bit more out of him today playing against the Master. And,
got something to prove.
Yeah. So I think, Dom, you got to step away for a minute. We're probably going to, you've said there, and we've got to wrap it up in about a minute anyway. So
all right,
we see you back. But otherwise, mate, thanks for your input today. You've been fantastic. You're an absolute legend, mate.
Let's notch up a win today, fellas.
Oh, you've heard it first from the Osaka kid, everybody out there in the Blue Broad Nation. Let's have a big smashing win against Hawthorn. Thanks for your time, Dom. We'll see you next week.
See you, Dom.
Fellas.
See you, Dom.
And go.
Hey, just on victories and margins, I see my old friend Bob Murphy. I used to live near Bob. He's tipped Carlton by 70 points.
Oh, Bob Murphy, he clearly hangs around a lot of crystal meth circles nowadays. He's so sporadic with his comments, and he is humorous, but he actually, it's a lot of the things he says he means, and he's you know what, he's like a flower power kid or something. I don't know what's going on.
He is. He's a nice bloke, but he's very laconic. Very laconic. But 70 points?
He's very special. Okay, guys, I do got to wrap this up. And before I do, I'm going to bring in the one and only for the hard word.
Is that Vince?
It is Vince. What happened to Riley? Riley's disappeared.
I don't know.
But anyway.
Buongiorno, Vincenzo.
Buongiorno, Vincenzo.
My God, I've been waiting a while.
No, you haven't. You've only just bloody... I've seen you in the queue. Well, I was wondering where you've been.
Oh, geez.
Probably making more money selling houses.
No, not today.
Right. Now, we do got to wrap it up, so I'll throw this one out to Vince, seeing as he has popped in for the
Oh,
for the crescendo. He's just jumped in for the crescendo. That's it. Now, and this is a good one for Vince to come in on, actually, because this is he's been pretty active on social media about a bit of the stuff to do with the transparency of the club and selections and how they name injuries and stuff like that. Rightfully so. Rightfully so. It's not very often I disagree with Vince. Now, the emergencies. Matt Kennedy, Jack Nunes, Josh Honey, Levi Casbolt. All of those, bar Levi Casbolt, have been named in the VFL. Surely if Levi Casbolt's been left out because he's managed, because his knee's getting drained every week, he's not going to play as a medical sub. So then we've got Paddy Dow, who isn't on the injury list, hasn't been named in the VFL, hasn't been named in our emergencies. Is Paddy Dow going to be our medical sub? What's going on? I'm confused.
Mate, you're confused. I think most of us are confused, not only with that, but just some of the selections, generally speaking. The players are getting a game and the ones that have been left out that are in the twos and who's injured, who's not. I mean, if Levi Casbolt's being left out managed, which
then don't be a sub.
Why would he be on medical sub, a potential medical sub as an emergency? I just don't get it.
I get confused when the Ducks are in a row, mate. And when the Ducks are just going off in their own direction, flying south, north, east, west, well, then, you know, all
I can think of is that they kept that there as a safeguard in case, you know, Pitnet or Conning happened to trip over a bloody 4v2 and go and break. Otherwise, I can't see him being brought in as the medical sub today.
Yeah.
No.
So, look, anyway, we do have to wrap this up.
Yeah.
Guys, I don't know where Riley went. Riley's dropped off.
Jeez.
Maybe I was talking too much and he got annoyed. I don't know. But
Over, Johnny.
Maybe he's nicked off with
later. But Riley's gone. I've got to thank a few people. Of course, my partner in crime, Riley, just absolutely champion analyst when it comes to the game. You over there, Bangkok Joe, thank you very much for your time again. To the Osaka kid, Dom Pang, our Japanese correspondent, thank you very much. To David Rhys-Jones, amazing chat again as always today. So thank you very much for your time. And please, to all of our subscribers and listeners, if you're a listener, please subscribe for a start. And to all of you, subscribers or listeners, please look for the 15 for 15 challenge from David Rhys-Jones for the Prada Willie Syndrome Foundation, just to support him. Donate if you can. Just do whatever you can or show your support. Great cause. And a guy who, again, he always had everyone's back on the field. He's always had my back and done things for me, volunteering and giving his time. He's an absolute champion Carlton person, David Rhys-Jones. So please support him because that's what we need more of around our club. Okay. Vince, thanks for your cameo there, you beautiful man. That was...
I don't know what I've done or said, but anyway,
give us the last word. Come on, Vince.
Serious. What's that, Joe?
Okay, Vince.
Give us the last word
then.
Give us
Vince's
the last word.
Viagra, the hard word, the last word.
Is really if we cannot win today, and I mean really win, like the magnitude that we beat at the Fremantle, which was, I think, 40-something points. If we don't have a win of that magnitude, because we're effectively playing the bottom of the ladder team. I mean, they wouldn't have had their 2 wins unless I think they fell over the line by 1 point and maybe 3 points against someone else. They probably have no wins right now. So if we can't beat them by 8 to 10 goals today, we have not progressed at all. And to really see some evidence of development, you'd want to see us win by at least 8 goals today. And I'm not joking. I mean, 8 goals. 2 goals a quarter, better than Hawthorn. That's not too much to ask.
Yeah, and if not, then next week Vince's Viagra will become Vince's Valium, and we don't want that because we love the hard word. So, guys,
there'll be blood all over Prince's Park if we lose today, I can tell you.
There'll be blood. There'll be blood down Lygon Street, Vince.
At the door.
Right, Joe.
Thanks, Vince.
All right. See you, John. Thanks a lot.
Thanks to all the subscribers and listeners. Have a great day. Go the Blues. Let's have a big
Go Baggers. All right. See you guys next week.
Go Blues.